Hi, do you find yourself avoiding your own emotions? Do you find yourself making sure you don't ruffle other people's feathers? Yeah. Would you like to criticize other people, but you kind of say, well, you wouldn't want to hurt them? Yeah. This is all going back to nice guys, right? So this is mainly for men who are feeling that there are elements of their masculinity which is kind of toxic or dangerous or flawed or unsafe or stupid or all that kind of negative association. Okay, when you're avoiding either your own feelings or you're trying desperately to make other people avoid their feelings, what's going on is that you're desperately trying to distract attention away from yourself so that you look at least neutral and hopefully good. And you're avoiding situations that will remind you of the flaws inside of you. Yeah, remind you of the bits of you that you've kind of tried as hard as you can to lock in a box. Of course, the end result of that is that you lose all spontaneity, you lose I keep rabbiting on about personal power, right? You lose your dynamism because you're constantly limiting yourself. You're restricting yourself. You're quite literally restricting your vocabulary. You're actually denying elements of yourself. And of course, a powerful man, powerful anybody in actual fact, but particularly if you're a man diminishing those manly qualities of yourself, it's the exact opposite of every kind of biological demand inside of you. So if you can't be assertive, if you can't be direct, because that might upset other people and therefore you might be disapproved of, well, then you are handing over your personal power to everybody but you. Yeah? And that's a massive problem because then you end up losing all sense of personal agency. You feel as if your life is out of control. No wonder you get frustrated, annoyed, and explosive. Yeah? So here's what I would suggest when it comes to that. Okay? In order to regain that ability to express your truth without it necessarily becoming a trigger to an uncomfortable situation. In other words, to try not to rock the boat, but nonetheless to own your personal experience. Try not to talk in terms of what other people are doing that is at fault, but instead express yourself in terms of, I observe this and therefore that. Yeah? If you can do that, you can take responsibility for what you're feeling, right? You can simply own and express your reality. So I don't think people can take issue to the same extent with a statement that you start with, I feel like, right? But it's very easy indeed for someone to dispute, you are making me feel like, or you are doing X, Y, Z. Yeah. So it's a nice way to start. Yeah. I observe that our conversation is going nowhere. And personally, I'd prefer to know what was alive inside of you, because then there might be some way to connect. Yeah. Rather than saying, your conversation is boring me. Right? As a simple example, right? They both kind of say the same thing, but they come across in a totally different way. Because one, you're simply taking responsibility for your own perception, which they may or may not agree with, rather than passing the buck on to somebody else as if it's their fault. But the end result is you gain that agency back again. You're taking responsibility for what it is alive inside of you, which is a brilliant thing. And the more you can do that, the more you can kind of be happy with your sense of your own perspective. I don't know, maybe that's interesting. Yeah, all right, cheers, bye.